Hi, I'm Rick, founder and president of Affair Recovery. Earlier this week, someone asked me, what's Hope Rising? Honestly, I was a bit surprised. There's a concept called the curse of knowledge, which means you assume everybody knows something. And it dawned on me that maybe not everybody knows, and maybe I should talk a little bit in a video about the annual conference called Hope Rising that Affair Recovery puts on. Since 2018, when we had our first conference, it's become something I'm extremely proud of, because for the past 4 years, it's proved to be three things: powerful, informative, and restorative.
Feel the fact that you're not alone. Feel the fact that you are not alone in your pain. And I wish your spouse was here. I know. I wish they were too. But it is you, and it is another betrayed spouse who is not judging you, condemning you, labeling you, harassing you, or abandoning you. They are right there with you in the fight, in the fire, and you don't even maybe know their name. So when you go home in a few hours and you go back to that lonely room, that lonely house, that lonely apartment, wherever it is, that farm that you live on, wherever it is, that big city apartment, you need to remember this moment that you are not alone. You are not alone in your pain.
It's been powerful just because of the emotional impact that I've seen it have on the participants as well as the speakers. For instance, last year when John was talking about it's okay to look at the past, but you have to keep your eyes in the future. And just the compassion he spoke with literally brought me and other people watching it to tears. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of this conference really is the community. It's the power that all of the men and the women coming together into that community, their tenacity, their determination, that's what's been inspirational to me. It's just the power of that group. And the conference pushes against the isolation created by betrayal. It allows those who had felt really disenfranchised as a result of this and disconnected from what once was important to them to suddenly feel, believe it or not, normal.
The path to healing, it's long, it's hard, and you are going to want to quit. And so I want to encourage you to find safe and supportive people to help you with this journey. Every person in this room can have healing.
One participant said last year that just the fact that I wasn't alone, that gave me hope that I'm not alone in this experience of crazy and spinning world that I've been caught in, this whirlwind of emotions. The speakers, they were just speaking right at me. They understood my thoughts and my struggles and my pain. They met my needs and gave me direction for healing. I just got a whole new perspective. And ultimately, that's what we wanted the conference to do, to allow people to push past the isolation and the shame, to be able to have something new and different. I can promise you the conference has been informative because the directors, the committee that set it up have vetted speakers and topics. They want to make sure that that information that is being presented is tailored specifically for those who have been betrayed.
As I get older, I'm trying to learn to live like every day will be my last, because I know that one day I'm going to be right. And I choose to be deliberate with this precious time. I've given enough to my past. And instead of staring at it in pain, I'd rather choose to focus on how God took that pain and used it to transform me into a more loving and aware human being. Now, for those of you who are still sitting close to the pain, it's okay to give healing its season, and it does take time. And just try to be patient with yourself at that time. But the key is to use the time, not to let the time use you.
in some ways, I really like this year's topics, maybe even more. One of the things Shauna will be talking about is self-care. It's how do you keep yourself whole in the midst of this? Another speaker is going to be talking about how the betrayed spouse thinks and how do you take your thoughts captive and begin to be able to think on things that are healthy. How do you deal with grief? How do you get to a place of acceptance so you can transition? Jeremy is going to be speaking about using the REACH model of forgiveness. And this is a whole new model that we've never spoken about at A Fair Recovery. And I think what he's going to share is very relevant because it'll give you or people that are coming to the conference ways of understanding forgiveness that maybe they hadn't thought about. And finally, someone's going to be talking about the crisis of faith that comes along with being betrayed. I can't tell you the number of people that I've heard talk about meeting others through this conference and developing long-lasting friendships, or at least 4 years so far. But even more important is the Hope Rising community. Healing from trauma happens in community far more than just isolation. And it's a safe, supportive community that this conference is going to provide. While infidelity shatters that attachment that you had with your mate, and I know it leaves you feeling really alone and isolated, it's going to be community that restores your sense of connection and wholeness. My hope is that you'll give yourself the gift of this conference to help facilitate your journey to wholeness, to healing.